Okay, that does it. All right, so my dad sent me a super helpful message that helped me conceptualize quantum mechanics, which is just reminding me sort of what quantum mechanics is, which is just that. Um, so everything, of course, is composed of, when you get down to it, whatever, up quarks, down quarks, what did he say? Whatever it is, okay? And those interactions, study of that, excuse me, is quantum mechanics, right? Okay. Which legitimizes my question. Is this consciousness? Why are we talking about quantum mechanics? Everything is quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is, it's just the most fundamental pieces of reality. Consciousness is a cognitive phenomenon. It is not a phenomenon of just like all physical phenomenon. So, all right. And then here's what he said. He said, everything that you can see and touch is made up of only three types of particles: up quarks, down quarks, and electrons. From different combinations of these three particles, successive layers emerge with properties and characteristics that generally cannot be predicted from the preceding layers. What's determining what can be predicted? Are you saying that just like, what does that mean? Like they objectively cannot be predicted? Some Heisenberg thing? And are you saying that, but macro stuff can be predicted? Anyway, and then he applies this. He says the brain is a layer, and from that the mind emerges, and from that consciousness emerges. Okay, okay. I think there's a lot of shit emerging here from from this asshole. And that's, I'm not calling my dad it's just for the metaphor. Yeah, no. And if you're going to define the mind and consciousness that way, bro, that's you taking that leap. I know I have a brain. I mean, I know I'm a brain. Every single aspect of my behavior, and everything that comes out of me, everything I write, everything I say, every output, I can explain with the brain. And he's saying that and then there's this other thing that emerges, the mind. And then the mind, that's not even consciousness. And then from this layer of the mind that you can't point at, consciousness emerges. All right, maybe it was joking. That's, okay. Okay, yeah. And from consciousness, gibberish emerges. And from gibberish, sapodigi emerges. Yeah, okay. And from that, more bullshit emerges. Okay, great. Great. Okay. And maybe that list can just go on forever. Maybe at one of these points, love emerges. The brain is a layer, and from that, the mind emerges, and from that, consciousness emerges, and from that, love. All right, he's just said. So I just said there's no evidence that the mind or consciousness exist, but okay. Because when you define it like that, all right, now you're clearly you're talking about like a whole other thing. We have, what mind? Hey, can you test a brain and go, oh, this doesn't have the mind, this hasn't gotten to the mind layer? Oh, this hasn't gotten to the conscious layer? Can you test Neo's brain and figure out what's the latest layer to have emerged? What are we talking about? He's got a brain, I got one. All right. I didn't want this to be long. I'm trying to walk away. I'm not doing a good job of trying, because I just said there's no evidence that the mind or consciousness exists. All right. Let's see what's next. When I watch TV, I am not just watching LEDs change color. I watch a film. You can say that there is no film. It is just LEDs changing color if you want. But the film is an emergent layer arising from the LEDs changing color over time. The effect of the film on me represents another emergent layer. No. No, you do not watch LEDs change color. You can't even see the LEDs. What are you talking about? All right. Okay, no. I see. He didn't say individuals. The film is an abstract entity. It is not. It is not. It is not. It is going to be an MP4 file, an MOV file. It's going to be an AVI file. It is not an abstract entity. It is a specific sequence of colors and a geography of a set of colors. It's not an abstract entity at all. I can say, oh, here, this film that you're watching, it's in the code of this phone. It's not an emergent property. It is a file. It is a, what are you talking about? It's a program being run. What are you talking? That's not true. And it's not like, that's not, what is this? When I watch TV, I'm not just watching LEDs change color. I watch a film. Let's break down these sentences. So, when I watch TV, so let's say I'm watching the television, I'm looking at the television. So you're not watching TV, right? He's watching a film, right? But, and the only reason I let myself do that just now is because I do think this is just linguistic. Oh, he's still typing. When I watch TV, I am not just watching LEDs change color. Yeah, and you know what? You are. Yes, you are. Those LEDs are, we got some photons of different wavelengths coming and hitting your eye. And then those are going in, and then those are being synthesized in your occipital lobe. And those are being unified with the sense of story and with the previous memories, and there's working memory may be involved. I mean, by the way, when I said I could explain any output, I couldn't literally tell you what the tract or what the network is, but I could probably Google it. Or, I mean, the point is that there's nothing else needed to explain the output. Like, anyway, yeah, obviously. So no, I would not say that there is no film. The word film refers to a specific sequence of images with a followable direction. And what that means physically is like that what is happening in the moment of the film does not trigger alarms in my mind relative to what has previously happened in the film, because I'm able to sort of unify these memories or exist in context. Sorry, when I got another message, I lost my train of thought there. All right, we're not going to do another bunch of videos like yesterday. It is just not. All right, the film is an abstract entity. I can't touch the film and remove it from the screen, but it exists as an abstract. This is just language garbage. Psychology is all about the mind. Neuroscience is all about the nervous system. Cognitive neuroscience is merging both. I have to. Actually, I'm upset. This is just a bunch of semantic tomfoolery. Psychology is all about the mind. Psychology, yes. Psychology is about the mind. Psychology is about the brain. But for most of the history of psychology, we didn't have the tools to be looking at brain mechanisms. So we were just able to study behavior, and then maybe we were looking at some EEG later. No, but we can't even include that. What are you talking about? Psychology, this is just this is actually upsetting. This is actually just semantic garbage. And the arrogance to say this to someone who actually knows what so psychology is the study of the mind, right? It is not, however, the study of some abstract entity that has emerged from the brain. It is the study of the highest levels of the brain. So the brain includes the mind. If you don't want to include, for instance, like regulation of heartbeat in your definition of the mind, by the way, the mind is just a word. Right? The brain is a physical thing, right? The mind was a word that we came up with before we had a physical thing to refer to. So we had like bodies and stuff, and then we were like, oh yeah, but there's not just a body. There's also like your like personality and like your thoughts and so on. We didn't have like a physical thing to point at yet. So we were like, okay, mind, that's the label that we're going to give this. Then we started to learn about the role of the brain in things. And we started to go, oh, whoa, this organ that we had already called the brain, it does like a whole bunch of things that we had put in this mind, associated with this mind word. And then we're so stupid, we got confused. You're like, oh my gosh. So I wonder what the relationship is between mind and brain. The relationship is that you had a word talking about personality, cognition, mental activity, all that shit. Then you found an organ, you named the organ, then you realized that that organ is producing all of that shit, and you didn't go, oh, okay, so the brain is the mind. That's it. That's it. Now, of course, yeah, if you want to define mind as like, if you want to exclude for instance, I don't know, maybe you want to exclude the motor cortex. You want to exclude the motor cortex, the cerebellum, the brainstem, maybe. I mean, I think you'd be foolish for doing that because the brain is so interconnected that you change any one of those things, it is going to probably have an effect on the mind. But if you want, you can be like, the mind is just like these networks, maybe. Okay. And then we can say consciousness is among these networks. Okay. So no, psychology is not all about the abstract entity and then neuroscience about the neural system. That's just not true. Psychology didn't realize it had to be studying an organ, and it was just studying speech and imagining patterns that existed in this ineffable mind thing. Then you had neurologists who are looking at the brain, looking at this physical thing, being like, oh, hey, what does it do? What are its properties, its ineffable productions? Maybe I shouldn't use ineffable there. What does this thing produce? So the neuroscience over here looking at the brain. Oh, what's this thing do? You got the psychologist over here talking to a brain, but in the bodysuit, so not looking directly at the brain. And the brain, through the bodysuit, is sending out words and having reactions. And you got you can test heart rate and all that stuff. Those are all being affected by the brain, determined by the brain. And psychologists say, oh, okay, yeah. And then at some point, neurologists tap this guy on the shoulder. I mean, this is not historically accurate, but I hope that it helps you understand how much gibberish, you know what I'm trying to say. Some neurologist taps the psychologist on the shoulder. Hey, so this thing I'm doing, I noticed that when there's been trauma to it, like so this thing was in one of those humans who's now dead. And there was this thing that the human kept doing in their life. And I'm noticing that this like part of the brain is like, there's a lesion here. It's messed up, or there's a tumor here. And you know, this is actually the third case where someone had a tumor in here and had the same behavioral like thing that I've been consulted on. This is the third case I've been consulted on like this. Can you just hold on a second? Wait, what do you mean? So, because I've been studying the mind, and you're saying that their behavior was affected. That's kind of my department. I talk to. You're saying it's coming from that inside of. Oh, okay. Hey, so then should we have a new word so that like people understand that like I'm looking at this organ in order to understand its output? Psychobiology, cognitive neuroscience. Okay, yeah, cool. There you go. So the difference between a psychologist, I mean, like a research psychologist and a neuroscientist, it isn't what they are studying. They are both studying the human soul. The difference is just what resource they are sort of using to study it. I mean, that's stupid to even say. I mean, I don't even think psychobiology is like a necessary term. Cognitive neuroscience is not a necessary term. We can just have psychology or just have neuroscience. Neuroscience, I think, is really good. But anyway, this is just semantic garbage. You know what? You know what? I'm an idiot. I just keep repeating this is semantic garbage. These fallacies in here have been named. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to break apart these three messages. Because there are things in here that feel compelling, and I'm just like, this is nonsense. So that's what a fallacy is, something that seems true to a human brain. Oh, sorry, to a human mind. Well, I don't know whether it's going to seem true to a human brain. But it is not actually reasonable. So logical fallacies are these little failures of ours to imitate reason, these little systematic little errors in our coding where we don't imitate reason. So all of this makes sense. Psychology is all about the mind. Neuroscience is all about the neural system. Cognitive neuroscience is merging both. What is that? And then when you add that last sentence, doesn't that just reveal that whatever point was supposed to be made by... How about cognitive neuroscience? It isn't merging two separate entities. It's just a label given to the realization that it's the same entity. All right, let's see whether we can find something that we can like identify as this is how it's logical fallacy. I mean, this is the form. This is a version of this basic form. When I watch TV, I'm not watching LED change color. This is there are definition things here. On the one hand, yes, you are. But then, of course, he would say, no, I'm not. I'm not thinking about that. No, you're not. You are watching LEDs change color, but the mechanisms of you that are watching LEDs change color are contributing to mechanisms that are weaving that together in a story with the other changing LED colors. Changing color LEDs, whatever. So yes, you're actually doing both. You are watching LEDs change color and you're watching film. All right, so the first sentence is just false. Third, you can say that there is no film. I wouldn't. A film is a useful word. Mind, consciousness, those things, I mean, they can be sort of useful words, but not as entities. I don't even know that they're useful words. I generally avoid them. So, and I talk about the mind all the time. Oh, by the way, sorry, mind equals brain. Okay? So that hasn't been clear on this channel. When I choose between mind and brain, it's just about the connotations. I would love to use the word brain all the time, but I am concerned that you wouldn't realize the relevance, because you know that you are a mind, but you think that you as a mind has a brain, and that's just not the case. All right, so yeah, mind and consciousness. I mean, the conscious experience is kind of a maybe useful thing to talk about, but anyway, but not the consciousness as an entity that affects change. There's no reason to think that it affects change. A film, you can say, so this assortment of changing colors, call that a film. And that assortment of changing colors can have an emotional impact on you. Yeah, you know what? I could say there is no film. Yeah, I could say there's no film. I could say there's no film if you're saying that the film is different from the assortment of changing colors, and the storyline. So a sensical changing of colors is a film. So I could say, yeah, a film is not an entity. Yeah. But it's just like I can see reasons to like refer to films. This film did better than that film. I'm going to watch this film instead of that film. When would consciousness, when does it serve a purpose as an entity? No, this is, I need to just smoking. I need to just take some melatonin, and I think I really am wasting my time. You can say there is no film, and yeah, in a sense, yes, you could, because the film, no, but the film, gosh, this is such semantic garbage, isn't it? Okay, you can say there is no film. Would I say there is no film? What does that mean, that there is no film? Okay, you can say there is no film. It is just LEDs changing color if you want. Okay. Yes. But the film is an emergent layer. It's not an emergent layer. It's an emergent word. It's an emergent label. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. The brain's so silly. We confuse labels for entities. If we have a word for it, we think like that's a thing. And so, in fact, somebody just texted me the other day asking me, what is the difference between truth and reality? Now, if you had asked me that, and then maybe I like clarified, oh, you mean like capital T, truth and reality? I mean, I would typically say they're the same thing. Those two words like refer to the same thing typically. But the person asked me the question just presumed there was a difference, and so I was like, yeah, it could be useful to distinguish them. So I said the differences is that reality, two important things. Truth is about interpretation and objectives. Truth is a representation of the external reality. You can't have reality in here. So reality is out there, and then truth is your best drawing of it, your best picture of it, your best representation of it, your best interpretation of it, according to certain objectives. And typically that could just be about like what you're focusing on. What piece of this reality matters? Is it the colors? Is it the shapes? Is it the quantities? Is it, whatever. Is it the distance? Whatever. And so I thought, yeah, okay, there you go. But we have to remember, words are words. I'm done with this. Words are words. Just because we have different labels and different we draw little circles going, all right, I want to call these properties together, I want to call it this. So then when I talk about this, people know I'm talking about one of these things, or I'm talking about sort of the vibe you get from this set. It's not an actual physical causal thing. The mind has zero causal properties. Like, it doesn't do things to the brain. The brain does things to itself. The parts that you want to include in your little circling where you scribbled mind, that does things to other parts of the brain. But it is not, there is no, I mean, you know what? I'm just missing the language, really. Someone could say this in one sentence, using some logic, whatever terms already exist for this. Something about the fact that a label can be included in another label without meaning that there is an additional thing. So the label of mind, it will be included in the label of brain. The things that mind refers to is a subset of the things that that brain would refer to, or would produce, let's say. So if you want to talk about the products that you call mind products, those are among the products of the brain. That doesn't mean that the mind is a new product of the brain that can then, no, that is, that doesn't make the mind a product of the brain. The mind is just the circle we draw around some of the products of the brain. There we go. There we go. There we go. Good. That makes sense, right? Let me just do that one more time. So I'm going to I bought a whiteboard. I think I'm going to put it up here, but not now. The brain has a whole bunch of different products. Memory, emotion, a whole bunch of stuff that it produces. When we talk about the mind, we're referring to maybe, judgments. Oh, and that's another one of the brain. Whatever we refer to with the mind, those are things that are being produced by the brain, not by some other magical entity. That does not mean that this set of products is a thing itself. I didn't phrase it any better there, but and also, okay, let's try to make this the last thing. What's not maybe in the text, but is definitely in the text, is this idea of the mind having power. Because, when I talk about the mind in this video, I keep talking about it as being a subset of brain products. And if I asked you what the mind is, and I asked you to list its features, they would be brain products. Except there would just be one more line that would be added, which is, and it interacts with the brain. It is outside of the brain. So all of your definition of the mind would be products that can be attributed to the brain. Opinions, beliefs, everything. Except you're going to, for free, completely unfounded, throw in, and also it's its own thing. But no, it's not an emergent layer. It's just an emergent label. Okay? We have these things, and we have labels maybe for each of them, imagine. We got a bunch of little minions, got labels for each of them. 8 of them get together and form what they call a team. There is not a new thing that now exists, just a label that has emerged among the set of kids. And so then you say, well, but that team could go and do things to the other kids. Yeah, I said that brain mechanisms can do things to other brain mechanisms. Yes, kids can do things to kids. Brain mechanisms can do things to brain mechanisms. We don't have a new magical thing now that there is a team. And by the way, the whole mind thing isn't even that coherent. It's a very loose, it's really just like, I exist. That's all it is. And then, gosh, such a waste of time.